A big hello from Tokyo. I'm the Bento Buster, and today I'm going to show you make some sweet and sour pork. And with a bit of luck, after watching this, you can kiss those takeouts goodbye. Because from now on, you'll be making it at home. Now to start off, you're going to need some pork, and today I'm going to be using some pork shoulder. Cut the pork along the grain into bite-sized pieces. Transfer the pork to a bowl and add 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. This will be the marinade. Now get in there with your hands and give it a good mix. You want to massage that marinade into every piece. Now wrap it up with some plastic wrap and put it in the fridge and let it sit there overnight. And after one night in the fridge, the next day it should look like this. Now add 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Get in there with your hands again and give it a good mix to make sure that every piece is coated with that flour. Now it's time to do some double dredging. Whisk 2 eggs in a bowl, then dip your pork into it. Next, coat the pork in potato starch, and if you don't have that, cornstarch will do just fine. Give it a bit of a squeeze to make sure that everything adheres. Then repeat the dredging process one more time. Yep, we're double dredging. The first layer will seal in the juices and act like a glue for the second dredge. And the second dredge creates a super crispy coating. And that's why we double dredge. And now that we've double dipped and double dredged, it's time to double fry the pork. That's right, now I'm going to fry it twice. Remember to not overcrowd the wok because that will lower the temperature, so fry the pork in batches. For the first fry the pork at 180 degrees Celsius for about 3 to 4 minutes. Of course the pork won't be super crispy at this stage, but don't worry. The purpose of the first fry is just to cook the pork. Transfer the pork to a wire rack and let it rest. For the second fry, increase the temperature to about 200 degrees Celsius and cook the pork for another 1.5 minutes. And when it's done, transfer it back to the wire rack. The purpose of the rack is to elevate the pork and help keep it crispy. The use of paper towels will ultimately make the pork sweat and make it soft. So for this dish, paper towels are a no-no. That said, now it's time to make the sweet and sour sauce. You will need 1/4 cup of sugar, water and vinegar, 2 tablespoons of plum sauce, 1/4 cup of ketchup, and 1 tablespoon of potato starch or cornstarch. Cook the sauce over a medium heat and keep stirring until it thickens. There should be no lumps. But to avoid any lumps completely, it's best to mix the potato starch and the water to make a slurry. And if you gradually pour that in while mixing, you should be lump-free. And when it starts to get thick and gloopy like this, that means it's done, so take it off the heat and stop cooking it. The trick is not to overcook it. You want it thick but not too thick, if that makes any sense. Now set that aside, take out your fry pan, heat it up and add some oil. And when your fry pan's nice and hot, toss in a tablespoon of finely chopped garlic. Give it a quick saute to release the aromatics, then add your veggies and your pineapple. You can't go wrong with a bit of onion, green and red bell peppers, and of course those pineapple chunks. Over a high heat, stir fry for about 3 minutes, then add the pork. Now give it a good mix, and when everything's combined, add the sweet and sour sauce. Mix well and make sure that every morsel is covered in that sauce. And as you mix, a transformation will take place. All the colours will start popping and become really glossy. When it looks like this, you're done, so now it's time to plate it up. And you've just made some awesome sweet and sour pork. Well done, pat yourself on the back. And just take a look at that. The pork is still super crispy and covered in that tangy sweet and sour sauce. And it tastes fantastic. Next, how about a bit of pineapple? Yep, sensational and sweet and sour-tastic. And how about another piece of pork? This little guy is packed full of flavour. The inside is juicy and tender and the outside is nice and crispy and saucy. Yummo. Oh, and I can't say no to a bit of red onion. Delishimo. And that's how you make sweet and sour pork. And as I mentioned earlier, now that you know how to make it at home, there's no need for takeouts. I am the Bento Buster, and as always, thank you for watching. If you feel the need to spread the love by liking and subscribing, sure, go ahead. I won't complain. Take care and I'll catch you next time.